step here. Yeah, talk a little bit about choosing the manufacturer and what kind of methods you would go about here.
I think one material makes a big difference. So if you have a set material you need to use, the casting process will play a big role in it. For example, you will never be able to cast steel in permanent mold or die casting. You can only do that in sand casting, just because purely the metal of the molds is steel. So wouldn't make sense. And then also quantities. If you're just looking to get started and you're not sure where your quantities are going to be, sand casting is a great place to start. If you know you're always going to have moderate volume, we typically say anywhere between 500 to upwards of 10,000 is where you would fall into a permanent mold process. And then if you're looking at 25,000 plus a year, you're going to start looking at die casting just due to the volume. But other factors to consider in the process is how much porosity are you allowed to have in the part? When you machine the part, do you need, for example, if this needs to be machined afterwards, will you open up a lot of porosity because of that? And then density of the casting, or if you're just looking for near net shape, if like surface finish is not as important of a factor, all those different things kind of come into the play.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting about the quantity side of things. A lot of times that drives directions for sure about which process you use. And you see it on automotive. Their quantities may be running hundreds of thousands because they create all these cars.
Yeah.
But they require permanent mold process because some of the things you talked about. They can't have porous parts. They can't have parts that fail in the field because they have, some of the mechanical properties are failing due to porosity. I always recommend talking to what we consider the experts. So any kind of casting facilities to really get a better understanding. Because even with die casting, we say hundreds of thousands of parts usually, but we've started to see some big parts that need die casting. So it's interesting. And again, always recommend talking to the experts there.